I'm trying to say, because it tries to bring people based on their color and racial features to tell them that they are one people, regardless of their differences, that they are one people who should fight another race and engage them to defeat the Western hegemony. I think if we go like that, this world will never be peaceful. And there will always be binaries and divisions between who is black and who is white. The truth is that the world is more complicated than that. And that Africans have many interests. They are very different. They are very, very, very different from one another. If you go from Ghana to Nigeria, you will find people who are essentially different in many respects, not just in language, but in culture and in ways of thinking and seeing the world. But Pan-Africanism tries to tell them that what they share in common is their race and exploitation, and that they should come together and fight. And look, let me tell you something. Colonialism was not the same in every part of Africa. There are differences in colonial policies and differences in the continent. And you cannot think that the colonialism in Congo was the same as the colonialism in Botswana. No. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You can't think that the colonialism in Mauritius is the same colonialism in Nigeria. Nigeria is more complex than Mauritius. So when you are talking and using Pan-Africanism, you tend to homogenize every diversity, both in colonial practices and within the societies that Africans grow. And Blaise shoots himself in the foot because he still refers back to the same racism that he's not endorsing. He is now referring to that racism. And Pan-Africanism, for me, is based on racial identification. And that is why I won't subscribe to it. As a cosmopolitan, I believe that we share one world. And the one world that we share is a world of people who are different. People who have different interests, different capacities, different talents. And if we want to live and enjoy and be happy with each other in the world, we'll understand each other based on their differences. We'll tolerate them based on their differences, provided their differences do not harm any of us. You can be Igbo, you can be Dagati, you can be Yoruba, you can be Asante, or whatever you are. You can be white or black. I respect you for your identity. I respect you for your differences. I respect you, which is class. And that is why when Tertullian says, I am human and nothing human is alien to me, that is an identity I think it's worth holding on to, not class identity. Class identity will keep on dividing us. It will still tell us that those who are who own the means of production are evil and should be eradicated. It still brings divisions and it doesn't bring unity. But if we see each other as human beings, essentially human beings.
Promises like now you are preaching.
Our talents and our differences as human beings, but having the same components as human beings. That for me is an identity that is worth holding on to. That is a cosmopolitan identity. And for me, I will emphasize. I
love that.
Yes, is this. I am human.
Nelson, you love what he has said.
I am human. No, I'm nothing human. I'm nothing human alien to me. That is
to me.
For me, the identity.
Yeah.
Okay, Nelson,
Yeah.
just 1 minute. And then I think we are ending. So after that, I will
Yeah,
also
we're
read
ending.
mine.
Promise has finished. No, this is your last. These are your last words, please.
Yeah,
So
my
just
last
end.
word.
Promise I bless Jesus.
Promise was preaching. Promise is saying that. Promise is saying that the cocoa farmer, the cocoa farmer in the village should be united with the global capitalists in Washington, in Wall Street, that we are all one humanity. Yeah. That kind of philosophy is bad philosophy. Because what it ends up producing is producing few people continuing to live in the best of conditions, while some others are living in worse conditions. So that unity that Promise is preaching, I don't subscribe to that unity in the first place. But look, Promise says so many things that are fallacious, that are not true, that have no basis at all. The idea of Pan-Africanism, and I'm saying it in less than 1 minute, it's not static.
Okay.
And that is why I sought to tell you that there was the first Pan-African conference, second, third, fourth, fifth. And all these conferences had their own definition of what Pan-Africanism was. So there was a stage in the historical development of what Pan-Africanism is that has the racial dimension that Promise is mentioning. But today, under the broader framework of the fifth Pan-African conference that I referred Promise to, there is no racial dimension to what Pan-Africanism is. Look, there was Du Bois in the fifth Pan-African conference. Is he a black man? There were white people who participated in the fifth Pan-African conference. So where is this basis of racial discrimination that you are mentioning? I'm saying to you today, throw it away. Pan-Africanism, from the angle that I presented to you, Promise, in this brotherly conversation that we are having, has nothing to do with racial discrimination. It has all to do with fighting a common enemy, fighting Anglo-Gold Ashanti that is exploiting resources in Ghana and is exploiting resources in Nigeria. All people who are concerned about fighting against national resource plunder are Pan-Africanists. I'm saying that the Battle of Quito Carnival that sent over 800 Cuban soldiers into Angola to fight for Angolan independence was Pan-Africanist. But Cubans are not Africans, are they? So Pan-Africanism has nothing to do with racial distinctions. And I want you to throw that away. Yes, at a certain point of our historical development, it came out, you understand? But as we develop and as the concept in itself developed, we have begun, because we are growing our understanding of issues. And I'm saying that we have grown outside that racial dimension of Pan-Africanism. And if you think that it is my definition, no, it is not. No. I am referring you back to the fifth Pan-African conference and to give you a proper elaboration and broader framework of what Pan-Africanism stands for. And Promise, how do you call Nelson? I want to thank you so much for this platform.
No, just I want to before you conclude. Just a last comment.
We are ending. Promise. Promise doesn't want us to end. What is this?
Pan-Africanism, Blaze. Pan-Africanism is still bent on the idea of an African world. It's still based.
I'm telling you that
the Cubans. No, it's still based on the African world.
There's not
the unity of the
Pan-African conference. I'm referring you to that. No, I'm saying that the
African based on the unity of the African world, the African people. Okay. That is what
is based
unity.
Nelson, I'm sure you understood what I said. That Pan-Africanism goes beyond the geographical dimension. But Nelson, just to thank you so much for the platform. I think it has been a very good discussion. And my recommendation is that as a way of improving upon the platform, which is what your method should be. Your method should be that for every session, we're improving upon so many dimensions of the platform. That you must take into consideration the views of the panelists vis-a-vis how they relate. Because when someone Promise submits, and if you see that I am misinterpreting what Promise says, you must interject, because you are to serve as a kind of arbiter, so that the conversation is directed. It's not just Blaze and Promise discussion. We have a moderator who must take keen interest in the views that we express and how those views are.
I think I was doing just that. I was doing that by asking you questions straight, cutting coming in between to ask you more questions. To be clear, I think I did just that.
Yeah, you can do more. And then so that is just based on my, and then to also thank Promise. I mean, Promise, is my very good friend. We share different views, but we are connected in our struggle to find the truth and how we can change society. And I think he's a very honest guy. He openly believes in, he's passionate to study, you know, and I think that we should continue like that, and then to see how we can also make our contribution. We all have something to contribute to our society. We must be intentional about that. We must be aware about that. I'm not taking this as just a banter between me and Promise. I'm taking it as a social construction of knowledge that is important for all of us to enrich our journey. So, Charlie, thank you very much, guys.
Okay, Promise, you want to say?
Yeah. So, Nelson, of course, you and I have done this platform, speaking here, debating, and talking with different panelists. You know, it's always been fascinating to me. And I also appreciate Blaze for his views of society from a class perspective. And I think it's always enriching to listen to Marxists air out their views about what the problems are. What I would say in conclusion is that unless we human beings start seeing each other as human beings, not as any other thing. Class identity is a social construct. Racial identity is a social construct. Ethnicity is a social construct. Gender is a social construct. Most of the things that we defend today are superficial characteristics. They are just additions to our human nature, our humanity itself. And until we get back to the basic, get back to the root, the core of our own lives, which is the humanity, we will not find peace and happiness. And that is why I can talk today. Because when I see him, I don't see him as someone who owns or does not own a mean of production. When I see Nelson, I don't see someone who is from a different part of Igbo land or someone who is staying in Israel and all that. What I see in everybody, in all of you, are human beings who want to talk to me and want to have interactions with me. That for me is an identity that I've always held on to. And when I meet people everywhere, it is an identity that I hold on to. I don't look at them from their class or gender or racial backgrounds. I look at them from the fact that they are human beings with their own needs and particular interests that should be satisfied. So for me, what I would say to the panelists in conclusion and to all of us is that let us defend humanity in every way possible, not just in terms of class exploitation.
I love that.
But also in gender.
Me, I won't defend Dangote. I won't defend any humanity. I won't defend Dangote. So, I won't defend Bill Gates. I won't defend Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
This is all I can say.
Okay, thank you. So, guys, I really appreciate your comment. Blaise, I really appreciate your feedback on what to work on. I really appreciate that so much. I'm going to read through some comments here and then we conclude, okay? So, there's one, I guess, France motto, liberté, égalité et fraternité. Communist countries, equality without fraternity. Capitalist country, liberty without fraternity. And then there's this one from Steve. Steve is saying that Blaise's views are interesting at the risk of an ad hominem. His class consciousness is a deja vu. Look at Adam Oshomole. As a labor unionist, he was human and Marxist. But the moment he started accumulating wealth, his style and views changed. 10 years from now, depending on whether he has become richer, his views will be different. Interesting from Samson from Ethiopia. Interesting topic. We have to improve our bond, our continental bond, so that we may improve our economic, social, political, and improve our continent of Africa. From Daniel from Ghana, I'm enjoying your discussion, guys. And Ubuntu from David Ubuntu. Love the topic and I love the discussion. So guys, I want to say thank you so much for sticking with us. I know it's been almost 3 hours now. I thought it was going to be 45 minutes or 1 hour, but knowing Blaise and Promise, I knew how it was going to be long. But for me, I would say it wasn't boring. It was really interesting from the start to the end. So I really want to appreciate you guys for making out time, for not saying no to when I requested to have you guys on the show. Really, thank you so much. I know. I want to see somebody. Somebody asked me, say, Nelson, how are you gonna be able to moderate these two guys? I said, God will come to my aid. And I think what is beautiful is that it was really fun. It was a moment of seriousness and laughter, and more importantly, it was a learning moment. So thank you guys for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you guys for sticking with us, for riding with us, for listening. And Blaze, I promise I invite you guys to go through the comment section and please try to give your replies. Just reply by on the questions on the comment section. Thank you guys and God bless you. See you next time.
Yeah.